All right, today we are going to talk about subtracting integers, so subtracting negative numbers. The last lesson was adding negative numbers, and if you're good with that, you should be okay with subtracting, because we actually don't do any subtraction. What we do is we turn every addition or subtraction problem into an addition problem. And you'll see here with the examples I've got on the board, so every subtraction problem can be turned into addition by what is called adding the opposite. And what that means, if you look at this first example, I've got -3 minus 11. So instead of subtracting 11, what we can do is we can add the opposite of 11, which is adding -11. So instead of minus 11, we added -11. That is the same thing. Minus 11 and plus -11 are exactly the same. So what I can do here is now I've got -3 plus -11. Now this is just an addition problem, and we learned how to add negative numbers. Since I'm adding two negatives, I would do 3 plus 11 is 14. And since they were both negative, my answer is negative. So it's -14. So another scenario you might see, though, is where you're subtracting a negative number. So that's when you have two negative signs or minus signs in a row. When that happens, they can be canceled out and turned into a positive or an addition sign. So the example here is -5 minus -4. So we're subtracting a negative. You can see there's a minus and then a negative sign right in a row. When that happens, you can get rid of both and put a plus. Two negative signs cancel out and become a positive. Now it's -5 plus 4. So in this problem, it's addition, which we learned how to do. We know that we can do, since we're adding a negative and a positive, they're different signs. We subtract 5 minus 4 is 1. We look at the two numbers, 5 is bigger than 4, it's negative, so our answer is negative. All right, let's do some examples now. So our first one here, -8 minus 12. So this is subtraction. We can see there's a minus sign in there. We're subtracting 12. So what we can do is, instead of subtracting 12, we can add a -12. You could put that -12 in parentheses if you want. It doesn't really matter for your work purposes. That's up to you. So instead of minus 12, I wrote plus -12. They're the same thing. Subtracting 12 is the same thing as adding the opposite of 12, adding -12. The first number in the problem never changes, always stays the same. So this is going to be now -8 plus -12. So now it's addition. We're adding two negative numbers. So we're going to do 8 plus 12 is 20 and make it negative. Let's look at our next one, 4 minus -3. So in this problem, we're subtracting a -3 minus -3. We've got two minus signs or negative signs in a row. When that happens, they cancel out. And instead of -3, this is now just +3. Instead of minus -3, it's +3. The first number never changes, so that's still a 4. And now you can see this is just adding two positive numbers. 4 plus 3 is 7. All right, let's look at our next one, -3 minus -11. So this one is similar to the last one in that we're subtracting a negative. Whenever we're subtracting a negative number, minus negative is the same thing as plus. Two minus signs in a row make a plus. Our first number doesn't change, so this is just -3 plus 11. So in this one, we're adding a negative number and a positive number. When we do that, we subtract 11 minus 3 is 8. I look at the two numbers. 11 is bigger than 3. 11 is positive. So my answer is positive. All right, let's do 3 more. So next one, 4 minus 13. So we're subtracting 13. So remember, minus 13, we can rewrite it as plus -13. And the number out in front, the 4, stays a 4. Doesn't change. So now this is 4 plus -13. So what I can do now is I'm adding a positive and a negative. They're different signs. So when that happens, 13 minus 4 is 9. I look, 13's bigger than 4. 13's negative, so that means my answer is negative. All right, let's look at our next one. 1 minus -3. Or sorry, -1 minus -3. So this one, we're subtracting a negative. Two minus signs in a row, they cancel out and become a plus. So instead of minus -3, it's just +3. The -1 out in front stays the same. So this is -1 plus 3. So I'm adding a negative plus a positive. They're different signs. So 3 minus 1 is 2. 3 is bigger and it's positive. So my answer is +2. All right, last one, 6 minus -10. So this one, I'm subtracting a negative 10, two minus signs in a row. So I can cancel them out and just write a plus. So this is just plus 10. The 6 out in front stays a 6. The first number never changes. So now I have 6 plus 10. I'm just adding two positive numbers. Our answer is 16. All right, so let's go on to the next slide here. I would like you to try these three on your own. So pause the video and try these three problems. All right, you should have done these three. I'm going to quickly write the answers here. First one would have been 2 plus negative 11, which would be negative 9. The second one here would have been negative 2 plus 2, and that actually would have been 0. And then the next one would have been negative 14 plus negative 5, which would be negative 19. All right, next slide. Again, I want you to try these three on your own. So pause the video and try these three. All right, so you should have done these three. The first one would have ended up just 6 plus 15, which is 21. The second one, now, I mean, you look at this 12 minus 7, you know that's 5, but even if you did follow the rules we learned about, so minus 7 is the same as plus negative 7, you would get the correct answer, because 12 minus 7 is 5, 12 is bigger than 7, and 12 is positive, so our answer is positive 5. Last one, negative 8 minus 3 would have been negative 8 plus negative 3, which is negative 11. All right. So let's go on to our next slide here. You see we got 15 of these. I would like you to pause it, and I would like you to try these. The goal should be to get 15 out of 15 right. But even if you don't, hopefully you're getting 13 or 14 of them correct. Maybe you're just making a silly mistake. If you're getting a lot of them wrong, then you need to kind of go back and figure out what is going on. All right, so pause it and try these 15. All right, you should have done these 15. I'm going to quickly write the answers for these. If you have questions on the work for any of them, you can ask me when you get back to class. First one was negative 12. Second one is 24. The third one is negative 6. Fourth one is negative 25. Number 5 is negative 14. Number 6 is 2. Number 7 is negative 15. Number 8 is 0. Number 9 is 13. Number 10 is also 13. Number 11 is negative 13. Number 12 is negative 7. Number 13 is 12. Number 14 is 4. And number 15 is negative 17. All right, so there's those 15. If you need to pause it and check those over, do that. And then we're going to move on to our last slide. So our last slide is a word problem. In the Sahara Desert one day, it was 136 degrees Fahrenheit. In the Gobi Desert, a temperature of negative 50 degrees was recorded. What is the difference between these two temperatures? So when you're looking at this question, the first thing you need to notice is the question there says, what is the difference? Remember, difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So you need to subtract these two temperatures to find the difference. So I'm going to take the Sahara, which was 136, and from that, I'm going to subtract the Gobi temperature, which was negative 50. So now when you look at this problem, you can see we're subtracting a negative number. And we just learned minus negative 50 is the same thing as plus 50. So I can rewrite this as 136 plus 50. Then if I come off to the side, do that math, I'm going to get 186. So the difference between those two temperatures was 186 degrees. All right, that is it